Board. Welcome to this video about social presence and what the course instructors can do to facilitate it. Your goal for this video is to explore some instructor tips, tricks, and best practices to promote social presence in courses you may be facilitating. Use of these practices will lead to the development of skills for both instructor and learner. Begin by striking up a conversation with your students before the course begins. This is a good time to share your credentials and a little about how you got to the place where you are teaching the course, and be sure to ask for questions. During the course, continue the conversation. Share personal stories and comment on common experiences, like the Redskins won today, or we're both from the same hometown, or even about the weather. All of these allows the instructor to appear as more real, and this is the essence of social presence. It also makes the instructor appear more credible. An important aspect of social presence is immediacy. Instructional immediacy is behavior that brings the instructor and the students closer together in terms of perceived distance. Many immediacy behaviors are nonverbal, smiling, eye contact, and so on, and these are lost in distance asynchronous education. Verbal immediacy behaviors are things like calling students by their names, using humor, offering encouragement, and so on. These can be included and will be included on other slides. But the first thing to do is get these behaviors to the students by answering emails promptly. Emails should be answered within 24 hours unless another schedule has been given to the students, and then that schedule must be adhered to. It's hard to overstress how important teacher immediacy is. It correlates positively with student affect, affective learning, cognitive learning, perceived instructor competence, caring, trustworthiness, assertiveness, and responsiveness. It correlates with instructor homophily and with a positive attitude on the part of the students. Instructors must contribute to discussion boards. Not contributing to a discussion board is the equivalent of lecturing for an entire class time and not asking for questions. However, not all discussions should be answered. Doing that actually decreases social presence because it sets up a dichotomy between one student and one instructor. But it is important to be a contributor to the discussion board in equal partnership with your students. Be sure to participate in discussion boards. Prompt feedback to students is part of encouraging social presence. Feedback should be related to the assignments, participation, and progress in the course, and it should be personal. It should be addressed to the individual rather than to the group, as this shows respect for the student and the student's work. It is also important to check in periodically with students just to see if there's any issues that need to be resolved. Social presence is increased when we address one another by our preferred names. Always address your students by name, and always ask for preferred nicknames and pay attention to how the student signs his name on emails. Tell students how you wish to be addressed, but remember to give students an option to address you formally, even if your first choice is informally. Some believe formal titles increase social distance, but students must also feel comfortable talking to you, and some are not comfortable with informality. Nonverbal clues are missing from asynchronous distance learning, and with that, some social presence is lost. Emoticons can be added to bring some of it back. Emoticons can convey nonverbal clues to the learner and for the learner. Instructor use of them will also give students permission to send them back to the facilitator, thereby conveying some more nonverbal information. Good humor can go a long way to increase social presence, as well as increasing goodwill and improving learning outcomes, but it must be used by instructors carefully. Students tend to take everything an instructor says with seriousness, and without nonverbal clues, students may mistake humor as a serious statement. Humor in text-based courses must be carefully planned and be pedagogically appropriate. Humor that is used for humor's sake and not to improve the instructional goals of the course makes the instructor appear as a jokester rather than a scholar, and thus can increase social distance rather than social presence. But when used appropriately, pedagogically, humor increases social presence by increasing teacher immediacy. For online courses, it's best to keep it short. Limit humorous statements to short sentences and add a visual clue, such as a smiley face or an LOL, to confirm to the student that the statement is indeed meant to be humorous. Another idea found in the literature is to have a separate column or section in the course where humorous takes on course materials are included but are separate from the main body of content, so students know that it's a humorous commentary. Visual humor is the easiest for students to interpret, so the use of a cartoon or comic strip is always appropriate. Satirical or cynical comments should never be used, nor should the humor ever be directed personally. One of the ways to overcome social distance is to be excessive with what is available. Exaggerate praise all the time, use superlatives, and use a lot of exclamation marks in writing, even though this violates a few grammatical rules. Another important way to increase social presence is to stay positive. Frame the business part of the course in positive commentary. Use love sandwiches for critical comments. A love sandwich begins with a positive statement about a student's work, then adds a critical comment, but even that must be positively worded, and then finishes with another positive statement. This is the end of a series of videos about social presence on this wiki. You should have learned about social presence, its definition, how to recognize it in asynchronous distance education, and a lot of ways to increase it in your courses, both from an instructional designer's point of view and from the instructor's point of view. Please view the videos as often as you wish, and please comment on them or the techniques in them on the discussion boards.